out in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're firing me, firing me. Yeah, you're firing me, firing me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the luck. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones. I'm losing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Over. I am OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by the one and only, the natural Astrid Pizarro, back from her fantastic trip at the Royal Rumble.
You can tell because I have no voice. Woohoo!
So before we get going on this show, I do want to ask you, Astrid, tell us about the experience of being on Media Row before the Royal Rumble, and go ahead and talk to us about sitting with the media on the floor for the Royal Rumble, the event itself. Go ahead and give us a small piece of the behind the scenes of your weekend.
Oof. I got to do this nerve-wracking, to be honest. Standing next to a wrestler and thinking of questions on the fly, half of them at least, and making sure everything's running since I'm doing everything by myself. Being on the floor, oof, it didn't hit me until I was there. So I almost cried thinking about it. But yeah, I'm glad I went for the pay-per-view. A lot of surprises that happened. So really excited I was there to witness everything in person.
You got to see the entrance of Zelina Vega. You got to see Roxanne Perez, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Jordan Grace again, for I think the second time in a week. Did you see her on the show that you went to for the tapings?
Yeah, I met her, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So twice in 1 week you got to see Jordan Grace
Yeah.
wrestle, which is fun.
Mhm.
Just an absolutely fantastic time. You get to see the return of El Idolo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was... and the dismantling of CM Punk, but we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah, we're not talking about that part. No, definitely a great experience. It was nice to see a lot of people that I've met and make connections with online and real life. To meet the people from Body Slam and to meet people that I talk to very often, like an Alex, Queen of the Ring, or Isa, Demon Diva, that were so like welcoming when I saw them, and people like Adrian. I'm definitely gonna tell him later. But when he came over and he saw me, he recognized me and hugged me and thanked me for his, like, the support. And Bill from WrestleZone, who like recognized me right away, and I didn't think that was gonna happen. And him just talking to me just like normal. It was just nice to be a part of the group. I definitely like stood in the, like, almost in the middle of the room, and I looked at everybody and I thought to myself, I can't believe I'm here. Like, I belong here. But yeah, it was incredible.
And remember, if you haven't gone out and check it out, I mean, it seems like everybody has the numbers it's doing. Please go ahead to Astrid's YouTube channel and go ahead and check out her interviews with the four people that she got a chance to interview. Who is it? We'll have to go and look and find out. But we're here to talk about NXT. We open with the Previously Ons, which is feeling more soap opera with every week. I saw that as a tweet, and I'm like, it really does start to feel like we used to get it in the old days, like Previously On with WWE, but they'd gone away from it for so long. And now NXT is bringing it back, and I like it. Trick Mello versus the LWO. Just what a way to open the show.
Right? Jeez.
Go ahead and give your thoughts.
It was such a fun match. I had no notes because I was just like watching and enjoying everything. And it's like that, such a great teamwork. And like I was telling you as we were watching it, I kept thinking, I love Trick Mello's a tag team. Too bad it's not gonna last too long. I
Mark,
was like, every time I see them, I'm
all
like,
Mark's fault.
why is this happening? I didn't ask for this. They're doing so great together. Like, that's all I could think about.
Yeah. I know. I thought this was great. Trick Mello defeats the LWO. It was a fantastic match. Everybody did their part. And we finally got to see what that big knee, hot tag big knee is supposed to look like. Because Cruz del Toro stood there for it, as opposed to jumping like they did 2 weeks ago. So it was nice to see what that thing's supposed to look. And by the way, it's devastating when it looks how it's supposed to look. But that wasn't the end of the night for the LWO, because as soon as Trick Mello and get out of the ring, out comes Oba Femi from behind and starts destroying the LWO, which brings out Dragon Lee. But you mentioned this, and I had seen it too. Trick goes to get ready to go help the LWO, and Mello grabs him and says, no. Just shakes his head. One quick shake. Nope. Holds him back. But Dragon Lee does come out to even the odds 3-on-1, because Oba Femi is about as big as all three of them. And Oba Femi still overpowers them. And then Dragon Lee goes to the top rope to try to dive onto Oba Femi, who's not paying attention. And Oba turns around, and as he's turning, Dragon Lee jumps. And he slaps him out of the sky as if he were a mosquito. Just absolutely pancakes poor Dragon Lee's chest. My question. WWE and NXT have done such a good job revamping the LWO to make them feel like they're important and they belong. Did Oba Femi just destroy all of that in one swift move?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I had no words for that. I was like, holy moly, like, don't kill him like that. Jeez. But yeah, it happened.
Yeah, he killed poor Dragon Lee. Like that one slap. It sounded bad. He nailed him with that one.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, I feel bad for the LWO because they've been doing so good and we've been building so well with the things that they do. And now all of a sudden, they don't feel important anymore because one massive, giant brick meat house, but one man destroyed them. But it was a good match. The beatdown looked great. And it makes Oba Femi look incredibly strong. So I can get over not having the LWO look strong to make Oba Femi look like a big deal. They're putting all their eggs in this Oba Femi basket, and I love it.
Yeah.
We then get GM Ava backstage with Ridge Holland, who's trying and failing to get a match with all three members of Gallus. Mark Talks Wrestling's favorite tag team in the entire world. Lexus King comes in and starts doing Lexus King things, which mostly means I stop listening because it's Lexus King talking, and I really can't be asked to listen to him. Like, he's not bad on the microphone, but I just don't care to listen when he talks. He presents Ava with a shirt. He says it's of the top selling shirt on WWE on WWEshop.com. So I expected it to be either a Trick Williams shirt or one of the R-Truth shirts. But apparently, it's a Lexus King shirt.
Sure.
Didn't know he had merch. I'm sure the registered Lex offenders are not. By the way, is that a good idea that they go with that now? Looking back on hindsight, is that a bad idea going forward? They should really drop that now, right?
No comment.
Okay, Triple H.
Yeah.
Okay, Triple H. No comment. No, but I mean, yeah. Looking back, it's probably not going to be. Wait till Sunday to see what the top selling merch items. I would love if they published the sales of that thing. It will be great. Barry's right. Ava wasn't completely terrible. I've always thought she's been relatively decent. People are judging her based on her father. They need to stop. She's not her father. She won't be her father. She's never going to be her father. So stop judging her to that and just judge her based on what she's got going on. And what she's got going on is a half decent promo ability. She's not great. She's not top tier, but she doesn't have to be. She's a GM right now. So for right now, all she has to do is the bare basics. And I think she's really doing a good job at doing just that. She sets up a match between Ridge Holland and Lexus for later on tonight. We then get Tatum Paxley backstage caressing the photograph of Lyra Valkyria. That was creepy. Nope, Barry says, I'm not. I think she's terrible in life. All right, well, at least you're fair and honest. Can't ask anything more than that. Lyra comes in, and we go ahead and we hear Lyra talking to Tatum, talking about how she didn't want her to attack Roxanne. Why would she think that? And Tatum says, well, you said she's taking up all your time, so I had to get rid of her. That's not what I meant. I wanted to have the match with her. But it was code to take her out and put her through a table. No, it wasn't. This promo was so unnecessary that when they had Lyra Valkyria on commentary in the next match, Booker T didn't know it happened because he kept repeating the exact same things that Lyra had just said, with Lyra sitting there and Vic literally looking at him like this. What the hell was this segment?
I wonder that's what happens when they don't play those kind of videos in the venue, because it doesn't happen all the time. So I was wondering maybe that's what happened, because if it was me, I would play for the audience, because it's not how they're supposed to react if they haven't seen it, because they're actually watching the show live. That's the only thing that I was thinking of. It's like, I wonder if they played it on the giant screen.
All right, well, maybe, but you would think that Booker T and Vic would have had something of this fed to them. Like they would have on their rundown sheet, this is what happened and this was what's said. Because it's ridiculous that Booker can't, for 2 seconds, figure out what the hell's going on. Mm-hmm. We then get a showcase match, a squash match, a very short women's match between Tatum Paxley and Roxanne Perez, where Roxanne Perez defeats Tatum Paxley. Kind of by the book. Exactly what you thought would be. Tatum can't focus on Roxanne. She's too busy trying to impress Lyra. Lyra and Roxanne lock eyes on the inside of the ring, outside of the ring. Tatum attacks Roxanne again. Lyra has to come in to take Roxanne off of Tatum because Roxanne gets the better of Tatum. And the three of them stare each other down. Well, the two of them stare each other down, and Tatum just looks up lovingly over at Lyra Valkyria. I'm going to say it now because I don't want to say it, but I think it has to be said. Is the Stand and Deliver match really going to be Lyra Valkyria versus Tatum Paxley?
It almost feels that way at this point. I don't know. I got that vibe too. I feel like at the end we're going to get Tatum saving Lyra during the match, and maybe Lyra doesn't notice it until later, and then there's some kind of confrontation leading up to them getting that match. But it feels odd at the same time because you obviously used to have Lola Vice a factor. Obviously she's not going to win the title, but she still hasn't had her championship match, and it's like I feel like there's people like Blair Davenport who are getting built up to go towards the title like that, and she gets one moment and she's done. And it's like, it feels weird. I don't know. And like, I feel we've seen Blair kind of like in the background since all this stuff is happening. So I don't know. The timing feels kind of odd to me at the same time. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But in the match in itself, I did like the part of like Tatum doing that kick, the way Lyra does it. And then they keep like bringing it up during commentary too. And after Roxanne winning, the way she's just pointing at Tatum to Lyra, like look at her, she's down. And we had that moment of her coming over and they're attacking each other. But I like how Lyra, when she puts Roxanne, has that moment of like they had to stare down, but they don't really hit each other. And to me, it's just funny seeing Tatum in the middle, like like just nothing. But I thought that part was kind of, I don't want to say funny, but yeah.
We have 9 weeks minus a day between Vengeance Day and so there's plenty of time to build something else. But it just feels like that's the match they're trying to book.
Yeah.
And that feels like a letdown for Stand and Deliver. So unless something else is happening and this is one bit of a big match, and my guess is because of the Cora Jade injury, which to me I believe was the Stand and Deliver match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was always going to be Cora versus Lyra for the title. They're trying to figure out what to do, and they're going to kind of meld a bunch of stories together. And one of those stories I think is going to be Lyra and Tatum. It'll be good for Tatum to get that big stage, and I think she's talented enough in the ring to hold up, which is more than we can say for one of the other women's matches we have on the card tonight. But Mike does bring up a good point. Booker T might have been too busy trying to message Triple H to get Jacob Fatu signed. And honestly, if that's the reason, I'm fine. Because if we can get Jacob Fatu in NXT, I'll take it. Anything to steal more time away from Bobby Munson on Thursday nights. By the way, if you do want to watch Jacob Fatu, you can go ahead and see him this Saturday while you watch it right here with Bobby Munson on the MLW Watch Along. And I believe it's Fightland is this month's event for MLW. We get Ariana Grace backstage with Ren talking about her accent, how she smells, is her name British? Very Ariana Grace stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic, but weird. I don't know why she thinks Ren the Sinclair is both a British and an Australian name. Sinclair is apparently an Australian name, according to Ariana Grace. So good to know that the Canadian understands what names come from what parts of the world, because I sure as hell don't. But thankfully, Top Shelf Fallon Henley, still the worst nickname in NXT, comes in to protect her friend Ren Sinclair. And there's a match booked. I didn't know who got booked, but I knew there was a match that was going to get booked. I thought it was going to be Ariana versus Ren, but it turned out to eventually be Ariana versus Fallon later in the night. And Big comes in. Yes, Ed is repping MLW. He is coming around. No, I want to steal all the talent from MLW so that we can have them in NXT. Like we're going to have apparently Kazuchika Okada, if you believe the weirdos on the internet, who think that just because Kazuchika Okada's PWT store is getting shut down, that means he's not going to AEW. That's not the case. They're probably just moving his merch from his PWT store to the AEW shop store. Because I highly doubt that man is coming to NXT. But if he does, my God, we're going to have the Rainmaker.
Yeah, don't think so.
I don't either. Okay. Every show has to have highlights, and every show has to have lowlights. And now we have Lola Vice versus Elektra Lopez.
Uh-huh.
I will admit, it got more time than I thought it did. I will admit, it was the worst match to not have the picture-in-picture commercial break. Because every other women's match on this card had a picture-in-picture women's break. I really wish this match would have had that. Elektra did really well. Lola did about as good as she's ever done. That being said, I really hate beating Elektra Lopez on her way out the door going to SmackDown to join Santos and Friends.
Legado del Fantasma.
It's not Legado del Fantasma.
Then what is
it? It's like Santos and Friends. It'd be like Barney and Friends, but Santos and Friends. Him with his weird rug serape. By the way, I want the rug serape he was wearing at the Rumble. That thing looked fantastic. I want it. It is a serape, right? I'm not wrong, right? The big thing that Santos wears that looks like a rug.
Yeah.
Speaking of MLW, we got Papa Smokes jumping in the chat. Hello, Papa Smokes. The second biggest Taylor Swift fan in the chat. Barry Monkey says it was effing awful. I agree. I did not say this match was awful. I just said I wish it happened in the picture-in-picture break.
It was a match, and it happened, and the bell rang. That's what happened.
I mean, I want more for the women's division in NXT. And more importantly, I want more for Lola Vice because they want to invest in her. So I want to be invested. However, the talent needs to measure to the investment. I will say, Jade Cargill proved in the Rumble that you can have investment in a superstar even if they don't have the best of wrestling skills, if you put them in the right spot. They need to now figure out what Lola's spot is to put her in that thing. My thing would be get Sonya Deville down here to the PC and have her train Lola so that she seems more MMA than Miami Heat dancer. I think if that happens, Lola Vice will be taken a bit more seriously. I'm not saying she has to come down looking like an MMA fighter. I'm just saying if we're going to keep touting the fact that she's a former MMA fighter, she needs to wrestle like a fucking MMA fighter. Look at
if you're going to say it, at least show it.
Look at how Shayna Baszler wrestles. She both wrestles and uses the MMA style. Ronda Rousey was the queen of the MMA style. And while Ronda Rousey gets 90% of things wrong, her matches weren't all bad. She had some good matches in there, and she can wrestle. I mean, she was in there with Stephanie McMahon and had a competent wrestling match with Stephanie McMahon. Now, it takes a lot to have a competent wrestling match with Stephanie McMahon, especially when she hasn't wrestled in a damn near a decade when she had the match. On top of that, you've got Sonya Deville, who can teach those same things. You've got Shayna and Sonya both there full time. Are you telling me that they can't teach Lola Vice how to wrestle a similar style? She can do it more flashy. She can do it more her. But she has to get more of the MMA into her offense to make it feel like that's part of her character. Because the more they mention that she shakes her ass on Instagram, the less I feel she's a former MMA fighter, and the more I feel like she's the Miami Heat backup dancer.
I feel like if you were to tell me that she's a model or that she was a model before going to NXT, I will believe you. If you were to tell me right now without me watching NXT and just seeing this match, oh, this girl's a former MMA fighter, I will be like, where? I didn't see any part of that here. There's no way that it seemed like she was. And that's what I said from the beginning. Like, I was frustrated how quickly they put her on TV when she doesn't have the experience. And so, for example, we had somebody like Elektra who doesn't wrestle often, but you can tell by her ring, like her ability, that she has grown little bits and pieces here and there. She's obviously not 100% the best or anything like that, but you've seen her progress. And with Lola, I don't see that. And it was like the best match that we got was like a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. That was her best match so far. And I was like, what happened to that Lola that I saw then? Because it's not the one that I see tonight. And just that I feel like they could have done better between both of them in this match as well. It's frustrating to see it, to be honest, because like I said from the get-go, when she has that contract, you have to make me believe like she's a threat to the champion. Like that's like a Money in the Bank type of cash in. Like she can cash it in any time and win the championship. If you were to tell me that right now between her and Lyra, I will tell you she's gonna fail. I don't see her winning it because look at her.
She can't beat Tatum right now, let alone Lyra.
So just like it's like, for example, when you thought about Femi with Dragon Lee, you think, yeah, Femi's gonna beat him. Look at him. Like, look at his size and the way he wrestles. That alone makes you think like he's gonna beat Dragon Lee. You don't see that with her. And I was like, I feel like I hate to say it, but I feel like they felt her booking since that happened. And even when this match got announced, I was thinking, did we get Lola getting a push with the contract and her winning tonight? Or did we get Elektra winning on her way out of NXT? And I was like, really? I would have preferred Elektra winning this match, being like the veteran out of the two. Would have looked better for her on the way out, going like getting that momentum towards SmackDown. Versus now with Lola, she wins and then what happens? Nothing. So like the win was not worth it.
Yeah. And this isn't an issue of ragging on the women. This is an issue ragging on a match that didn't deliver. Because we'll talk about another match that didn't deliver and it has no woman in sight in just a few minutes. But like they've got something with Lola. They've just got to figure out what it is. They've got to fine tune it. The same way they fine-tuned Tiffany Stratton. They thought it was Daddy's Little Rich Girl. That didn't quite land. It didn't quite work. They took the knobs and they twisted them. And I'm going to not do that on camera because it looks weird. But no, they took the knobs and they twisted them to make the character work. She's no longer Daddy's Little Rich Girl, but she's still a rich girl. She still knows about the finer things in life. And she's just arrogant and annoying in the mean girl. She's just that. She's Cora Jade, but better. Because she knows who she is, she exonifies who she is, and she feels like that character. Whereas Cora Jade always felt like she was playing that character. And that's the difference between the two of them. And that's why I say Tiffany's the more well-rounded talent in all of NXT. Because she wasn't ready when they first debuted her. But every week she got better. Every time we saw Tiffany Stratton, she got better. And she's gotten more and more comfortable in the ring, more and more comfortable on the mic, more and more comfortable with her attire, more and more comfortable with everything, to the point where she was in the final 5 of the Royal Rumble, and she didn't feel out of place. She felt like she belonged with some of the biggest stars on the main roster. In Astrid's interview, each and every one of the women Astrid talked to mentioned Tiffany Stratton as one of the women they wanted to work with in this Rumble. There's a reason for that. She is a star. WWE knows it. We know it. The internet knows it. It's just a matter of time. There was a picture of the final 4 eliminated people from the final 5, and Bayley's the only one not in the picture. And it's Liv Morgan, it's Jade Cargill, it's Tiffany Stratton,
and Becky
and Becky Lynch, sitting on the outside of the ring, looking up at Bayley as she's celebrating. Those 4, no, it wasn't Becky Lynch. It was somebody else. It was Bianca. I'm sorry. It was Bianca, not Becky. It was those 4 plus Rhea Ripley. That's your 5 women that the WWE builds around for the next 15 years. Bianca and Rhea are already there. They're already being built as big name stars. Liv's at that next level down. And then you have Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill who are ready to go. I don't know if Jade's going to be physically ready in the ring for the wrestling skills, but you know what? They gave her 3 months of intense training with Natalya. They had her training with Joe Hendry. They had her training at the PC. She came into that ring in the Rumble, and she showed out. She made an impact. We can say that now because there's no more impact. But no, she made an impact. She made an indelible impression on the WWE audience. And in one night, that woman made everything the WWE said about her when they signed her. Can she continue to deliver? That's a question we'll have to wait and see. Because we know her ring skills were not at the top shelf when they were in AEW. She's had time to work on them. I believe in her. I think she's a star ready to be made. She changed my mind at the Rumble. I really hope they can figure out Lola Vice, because Lola Vice could be that for this Latina community if they figure her out. If not, she's just going to be another female talent on the roster, shaking her ass on Instagram. And it's not me saying that. That's WWE literally telling us that week in and week out on television. And that's a shame.
And another thing that I hated too, when I forgot what part exactly. I know it was before the match started. I think it was when Elektra was making her way to the ring. Like, oh, things are about to get spicy. I'm like, why? Because they're Hispanic and Latinas. I freaking hate that. Why would you say that? And it was like, oh, it's getting hotter. It's getting spicier. That's such a cliche thing. Like, I don't like it. The only thing I liked about it was the end when she does her finisher. The Buenas noches. I was like, that's the only thing I liked about it. But other than that, I was like, don't say that, because it just makes it like they have to fit into this bubble because they're Hispanic. They have to be spicy and hot and be like, like this. And I was like, we're not all like that. And it's like, it just makes people like go into like this little box. And I was like, that's not my thing.
All right, I'm going to jump down off my soapbox now and stop preaching to the choir. We have Dijak backstage in his little office, looking over the brawl footage when Joe Gacy comes in and starts having a conversation with him. He says he's going to keep getting up and keep getting up no matter how bad he gets beaten down. And by the way, he did take the what are they called? The wood pieces that get stuck in your body. I can't think of the name right now. Dijak. Oh my God! Why is my English splinters? That's it. Splinters.
There you go, Splinter. And
He took the splinters out of his ass. My English is often as worse as yours, which is sad. He took the splinters out of his ass, and he's fine. He then plays the audio tape that Dijak has, like the tape player that Dijak has in front of him. And it's Joe Gacy in this room earlier today talking to Dijak, which is just fantastic. Chef's kiss. Joe Gacy equals horror movie villain. I've been saying it since he feuded with Braun Breaker. He is a horror movie villain. They're leaning more and more into it every week. And I think it's great. They start brawling. It's fun. We'll see them brawling throughout the night. We then get the aforementioned match where men let down the ball. Lexis King versus Ridge Holland.
It was a match. And it happened.
I did not care one bit about this match.
No.
Nothing they did in the ring made me take notice. I didn't know how long it was because I was paying on my phone. I don't know what the fuck happened here. I saw Gallus interfered. That made me smile because it put Gallus on my television screen. But I got nothing. Lexis King beat Ridge Holland with Gallus's help. Cool.
Yep.
We got Trick Mello backstage talking about the week that was with Carmelo. Trick's like, hey, didn't expect to see you in the Rumble. Melo's like, yeah, I didn't expect to see you on SmackDown. He's like, well, those guys, I didn't trust them, so I had to be there. He's like, yeah. Can't trust those two, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And they get ready and they start talking about, as I'm now dubbing him, Double Duty Trick. DDT, Double Duty Trick, coming up at Vengeance Day now that they've gotten themselves into the finals of the Dusty Classic. We then get my favorite segment of the night, the funeral of Chase University. Or is it? Andre starts saying goodbye. He talks about how much this university's meant to him. Duke Hudson says that he's a different person from when he started at Chase U. And he threatened, I mean, with the help of some students at Chase U, put together a video package. And the beginning of this video package is, now, I'm dating myself by saying this, and I showed it to Astrid because I don't think she'd ever heard it or seen it before. But the song is Tell Me a Lie. It was used when Shawn Michaels had to retire, not in the 2000s or not in 99. Way back in like 96 and 95, before he was ever world champion. It goes all the way back to then. And it was the tribute video that they used for Shawn Michaels. And it made an indelible mark as a little HBK mark that I used to be. That I associate that song solely with Shawn Michaels. Which I think is funny because Shawn Michaels is running NXT, and I guarantee you he's the one who put that song into that clip.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I told you, he's reliving everything he can from his career through the people he trusts and enjoys. And that is Duke Hudson, Thea Hale, Andre Chase, Riley Osborne, JC Jane. This five-person group is something he truly enjoys because he's having a ball with them. But JC Jane, so as Andre Chase is about to, finally put the final nail in the coffin of Chase U, out comes JC Jane and she announces the girls of Chase University calendar will be on sale starting at Vengeance Day. I always knew it was something. Like I said, I came up with the crass ideas. It was an OnlyFans. JC was going to start pimping out the female student body. I wasn't necessarily wrong. I mean, you saw the photo that they put up for the cover of the thing, right?
Yeah, great timing.
It was JC Jane, I believe it was JC Jane and Thea Hale, right? Both in men's t-shirts and nothing else. Well,
Wherever
we
it was.
can't see anything else. I'm sure they had other clothes on underneath, but did they bring out the women of Chase University? I would assume there's 8 or 9 women walk out that I have no clue who they are.
Except for Carmen's the only one that we know in the front. Because she was there, I think, last time.
Yeah. But yeah, no. JC saved the university. That she says this will not only repay the debts, but it'll keep Chase University open for months and months to come. Barry Monkey says, start selling a calendar in February. Brilliant. You know, it takes time to put a calendar together, especially when you didn't know you were going to need one. So you miss a month. It's not that big a deal. It'll be fine. And I'm sure Mike the Ref saying, I'm sure we will learn who they are soon. Yes, Mike the Ref is already asking for Astrid's. And while we're talking about it, if you want to go ahead and order your own copy of the Girls of Chase University, you need to go to this link. Mike, I know you were asking for it earlier on Twitter. I'm going to leave it up for a couple seconds so you go ahead and scan that QR code so that you can have this WWE Shop affiliate link that gives a little bit of money to our own Astrid Pizarro as she can recoup some of those funds that she had to spend traveling to the Royal Rumble this past weekend. You can go ahead and go buy the exact same WWE stuff that you were going to buy anyways. Buy your significant other a Cody Rhodes I won the Royal Rumble t-shirt. Buy a Chase U Girls calendar. Buy anything you want. Just don't buy anything from Lexus King because we don't want to support him because why? He's creepy. We don't need to support him. But go ahead and use this link. It'll be great.
And this one, I don't know if they have it, but I'm gonna check if they have another one because I want another one. Yes.
The poster shirt.
And then this one, because I was there.
But if you're looking for other merch that you might want to rock at your next wrestling show, you can also check out this shirt right here with Astrid with For Your Wear. You can go ahead and go to scan the QR code there or go to foryourwear.com/Astrid-Pizarro/ again. And you can go ahead and pick up this wonderful shirt that has Astrid's face on it that you can see being modeled by the lovely Miss Mel and our own Mike the Ref. Figure we get all those out of there. But you're ruining your first. Let's not talk about 41. We just did 40 last week. That's enough for now. I have now started to plot on all my friends. Specifically, this friend.
Oh shoot. I'll be sick that week.
That's fine. I'll surprise you before your birthday or after your birthday. I'm sneaky. I'll be fine. No, there will be no our local establishment, no naked Ed lying on a fur rug in front of a roaring fire. No, I don't want to see that, let alone anybody else. I think we just killed Astrid. We have a segment with the family talking about how important Rizzo is to the group by saying when we have this problem, we go to Riz. When we have that problem, we go to Riz. I don't fucking care about Rizzo. I really don't. It has nothing to do with her being a girl. It just has to do with her, period. I don't like her.
It's the accent.
No, I don't really mind the accent. So here's the thing. Everything about WWE NXT, we've been talking about this for years. Whether it be NXT that we were talking about it, or whether it be on Taking Over. Authenticity. You want to know the difference between the segment we had here with the family and the segment we're going to have later with OTM? Authenticity. Mm-hmm. The OTM segment felt authentic. I don't care what they said. I felt their vibe. I felt their personalities coming through because it felt real. It felt natural. It felt like 4 people just sitting around having a chat. The family's thing here felt like a promo, and I hated it. Which is sad because I love Tony D'Angelo. I think Stax is pretty good. But man, this Rizzo character is ruining the family. Barry says these gang storylines, I've just had enough. I'm not opposed to faction storylines. I get it. It's something that Shawn Michaels and Triple H both really enjoy as a faction.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it just something's off with the family right now, and it's Rizzo. It's 1,000% Rizzo. She's what's wrong with the family. No, bad Mike. No. You couldn't pay me enough to take that photograph. You could not pay me enough to take that photograph. Anyways, we then get a segment of Brooks trying to fit in with Fallon Henley again. I don't feel bad for him. No tears. I laugh at him and his failure to find other friends.
Damn. He's like, let's break up, and then a couple weeks later, well,
bad Mike.
I miss you guys.
Bad Mike. Mike says Photoshop challenge accepted. No, bad Mike. But no, Brooks trying to fit in with Fallon Henley. It's no good. Mm-hmm. We get all of Chase U backstage. Oh, by the way, talking about the calendar, I almost forgot to mention this. Andre Chase hugs JC Jane. He says, I was wrong about you from the get-go. I've always felt you were bad, but now you're a part of Chase U. The look on her face when she heard him say he was a part of Chase U was part horror, part joy.
Yeah. My favorite part about this too, as she's walking out with Thea, she says, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman, as she makes her way to the ring with Thea. And it just makes me laugh how he's like, I was a little toxic at first, but like now I'm like part of Chase U, if you think about it that way. So I like how she like brought that up, that tidbit there. And like another thing that we didn't say, but like the video in itself, when it says Chase U 2021 to 2024, I get like we both said at the same time, it's been going on for 3 years.
I was like, I didn't realize 3 years.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
I also love how they didn't shy away from having Bodie Hayward in any of the video. The video's perfect, like put him into the segment. And I thought that was great. Like having him still there, even though he's not here anymore, even though he's gone, they didn't just like do what WWE normally does, which is pretend you don't exist anymore. And you want to know how I know they do that? Think about when Roxanne won the title. The only time you saw Mandy Rose in any of those video packages doing the Toxic Attraction build to the Toxic Attraction triple threat against Roxanne was literally the fact that she pinned her. And they didn't even have her face in the shot. Yep. They refused to mention her. All right. All this is to say the Chase U people are backstage and they're excited. And then Lexus King comes up being the creepy dude he is. I know who he reminds me of, but we're not going to mention that here on screen. And he asks for a signed calendar. To which I forget who. I think it's Andre who says, dude, you're gross, or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Riley steps up and he goes, dude, why do you got to be the white knight all the time? Just step back. And he's like, get in your place. He's like, I am in my place. My place is right here between Thea and JC. And I thought it was convenient. He didn't say next to Thea or JC. He said in between.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to come in between Thea and JC. I don't think that was accidental by any means. That specific choice of wording. And then Dijak and Gacy come fighting through and the segment ends. We get Fallon versus Adrianna here, and I'm going to let Astrid take over on the chat here about this one.
This one, I was just like the point that I was more disappointed. It felt really short. If that's the only thing about it, and half it wasn't picture in picture. So I was like, me with my glasses, I will not stand like this to see the match. So that was not great for that point of view for me. But the most important part is that we get at a point that Chikara is on one end, and then she kind of distracts Fallon a little bit. Fallon looks at the front there, expecting Lash. I didn't like the timing of this, to be honest, because She looks to the front and she knows Lash is coming. She looks to the back and then she looks back to the front again, and still Lash is able to kick her in the face. Like, you should have seen her coming from the first time you looked. And she still got the kick. But anyway, Ariana picks up the win thanks to the help from the girls. And then Ren is just sitting by ringside like, ooh, oh, she won. Ooh, but like she didn't do anything to help her either. Which I thought was pretty interesting. But there was nothing particular in the match in itself. It's just I like how Ariana starts winning like these kind of like, I don't want to say random matches, but like these matches of like you don't expect her to win, but she ends up with the win in the end somehow, which is the funny part. But it adds to her character too.
I thought the match was good. I didn't think there was anything exciting about it. But then again, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It was a fine match. It had a decent amount of time with the picture-in-picture ad break. It got 2 segments that way. How you miss Lash Legend walking up as big as she is a mystery, but you know, shit happens. Yeah, Ren needs to work on her. She felt guilty for not being able to help Fallon and everything, but at the same time, she didn't have a look of guilt on her face. She had this other look on her face, and I don't know what it is. But Barry Monkey's correct. As I say every time, Ariana Grace is going to be a star. I agree. I think she could be on the main roster tomorrow. I think she could be on SmackDown this Friday and fit right in. I think her wrestling skills need another year in NXT, like Santino agrees. He thinks the opposite of me. He wants her to stay in NXT to get that year under her belt in NXT. But he thinks that she could go on the main roster right now. I want her to stick around to get a little bit more wrestling skill, but I think she could wrestle at a main roster level right now. Maddie looks as confused as Ed when we talk about her history. Yeah. Again, NWA Women's Tag Team Champion. That's literally all I know about her. Other than that and the hair comment that she made that got everybody angry at her. For what I don't know, I mean, Bianca's hair is gigantic. I don't understand why, if you question that it seems like it's a big deal. I know I'm not the person to make that comment, but like, I don't get the issue, but apparently that's probably part of the problem. If I don't see the issue, then that means I'm part of the problem, which, okay, fine. We then get the OTM promo, and I love this. I thought this was great. They didn't say anything interesting. Not one word of what was said in this promo was interesting, but the feeling was interesting. I felt what they were talking about. I felt like they were a unit. They were talking about how Jada's different and how people treat her different because she looks different. She talks different. She hits different. None of it's important, but it has that feeling that makes me want to see more about them, learn more about them, see them more on television. They drew me in. And again, my saying they didn't say anything important is more about the writing of the promo than it is about the way they did it. Because unlike the family, I bought into all of the little basic things that they were saying, but it didn't move me because I was moved by the way that they feel like a legit unit. The 4 of them sitting in those chairs on that set street in front of that house, whatever it might be, being someplace different, making the look of the place feel like something that they came up with. Having them sitting in that circle reminds me of sitting with my friends when I lived in the trailer park when I was growing up, and just sitting around a circle and just chilling with your friends at night. It resonated with me because I remember living that life and, you know, not having the house and just being with a group of people and being a little bit less than. That made me feel something. And so I connected with this promo, not by the words, but by the way it was set up and the people that were part of it. It brought me to a time and a place that I can distinctly remember. And that's what I love about this group right now. And Reggie sucks, and he doesn't belong in this group, but every week he feels like he fits more and more. And I don't know if it's Reggie, and I don't know if it's scripts, and I don't know what the fuck it is. But With the addition of Jaida, they feel complete. She was a missing piece that I didn't know they were missing. She brings that group together, and she relates so well to Lucien, and she relates so well to Bronco. And then Scripps is there to just have the ability to say the things he needs to say, to do the WWE thing, to get the point across, because he's been here long enough to know how to do the WWE thing. That these young talents can learn to make mistakes and to cut generic promos. But as long as they make me feel something, I'm down with it. I want them to not only win, I want them to at some point win these NXT tag team titles. Not only do I think they're going to win the tag team titles, I think they're going to win the tag team titles off of Carmelo. Because I think this is the route that you go. You have the next 9 weeks to build. And I've started fantasy booking in my own head, and that's a problem, because I shouldn't do that. But here's what I do. At Vengeance Day, you open the show with Carmelo versus Bron and Baron. And Carmelo get the win. They find a way to work together, they get the win. They get the chance at the tag team titles. In 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you have a big NXT show. I don't care what the hell you call it. Something in March, so it's probably spring break. Because that seems like that Marchy type show that they do. And on that show, I think you put Carmelo over the family. And then, I think between then and Stand and Deliver, you have OTM come out and beat them for the titles on the road to Stand and Deliver. And because I don't want them to have that match at Stand and Deliver. I don't want Trick doing double duty on that show. He's doing double duty at Vengeance Day. That's enough. But I think there's a way between the next 9 weeks that you can put the titles on Carmelo and then get it off of them in a way that makes sense. And I think it all revolves around Carmelo Hayes turning heel. And I think Carmelo Hayes doesn't turn heel until we get to that point. And I think you build it literally as close to Stand and Deliver as you can do. 3-4 weeks at most is when Hayes turns heel on Trick. And I think that's what you do. And that's how you build that match. I also have Trick win the title from Ilja at Vengeance Day. Because again, I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Mello versus Trick needs to close out Stand and Deliver. It needs to be the main event. And to guarantee at the main event, it needs to have the title.
And what I like you said, going back to OTM, it just feels so genuine coming from them. It feels like so real. And I like that about it. And I feel like the background in itself and the way they were like, that's how it is in Puerto Rico. Like when my grandma has a corner house and whenever there's a holiday, there's a barbecue and all the seats in the corner, everybody's in a circle playing dominoes or whatever like that. So you can see how genuine that feels compared to what it was for the earlier promo for the group. And just thinking about the fact, like them sitting in front of the building like that, it kind of makes you think of like humble beginnings. And it kind of makes you like connect more to OTM in such a way. It has been my favorite promo from them so far. I feel like I feel like the most connected to them on this one. And like I understood them a bit more too. And I didn't think how Jaida was gonna fit with them. I thought it was kind of random having her in there. But with this promo, she definitely fits so well with them. The way she was able to talk her story and they were able to agree with her and say something about it too. It felt great. It felt just like a casual conversation between friends. I really enjoyed it. It was like better, like you said, more than the other one, which is ironic being that the other group, except for Adrianna, they have been there for a while. But yeah, I like how genuine it felt, how real it felt. Yeah, definitely the best one.
They're taking a stereotype and they're using it to their advantage without making it seem disrespectful. And again, that goes back to the fact that NXT has been trying for the last 4 years to change the old WWE ways about this isn't Crime Time 2.0. Lucien Price and Bronco Nima, OTM as a group, they're not Crime Time. They're not a black stereotype of people getting in trouble. They're about like you said, humble beginnings. But people that aren't them can relate to that. Like I said, with me, I grew up in a place where there wasn't a lot of money, and I didn't have a lot of opportunity where I was, and there was a lot of different things going on around me that made things unsafe for me growing up. But I was around people, and it was a different group of people. It wasn't, not everybody looked like me, not everybody talked like me, and I grew up around people who weren't me. And I can connect to feeling different. I can connect to talking different, looking different. And I think that's what makes them so good, is that they're finding ways to make them connect to people without being stereotypical. But they're using the things that make the talent feel comfortable. And it goes back to Swerve, and it goes back to Hit Row. All four of them felt like a bigger deal because they felt authentic and comfortable doing the rap gimmick, being in the studio, B-Fab, singing over a riff. There's a reason why it worked in NXT and it didn't work on the main roster. And the missing link there was Swerve. Swerve made that group feel authentic. And when they came back with Swerve and AEW, it felt off. It felt wrong. There was a missing piece. And Top Dollar, as much as he tried, Flop Dollar couldn't do it. And it just brought the whole group down. And it cost B-Fab a real shot, because I think she had something interesting to offer that NXT vastly needs, which is a babyface African American, and we're finally getting with Kalani Jordan, but it's that Bianca Belair, but a different version of Bianca Belair. She doesn't have to be built and strong and powerful. She was a different version, fast, and there was this thing that I thought that she had, that if they were cultivating it the right way, they could have made something about it. And when that fell apart, I was a little disappointed, because I thought out of all three of them, she had the most potential. I mean, we're not talking about Swerve, because obviously Swerve's a star. People knew Swerve was a star before he got here. And people are seeing it in AEW right now, why Swerve's a star. And as long as he stops bleeding into Adam Page's mouth, it'll be fine. But no, OTM, they feel real. They feel like a big deal. They feel like... You mean the pro rapper missing made the rap group look bad? That's insane. It's funny, but it's true. Like, people thought when Hit Row came back that they were going to be the same, even without having him there. WWE officials thought they were going to get the same vibe from Hit Row without Swerve that they had with Swerve. And they quickly found out that they didn't. There's a reason why they didn't get pushed, and it's because they couldn't get that extra vibe. And yeah, it seems simple to say you take the pro rapper out of the rap group and it makes them look bad. But WWE put it on television for months thinking it was going to work, and it didn't. And that's where I think OTM hits the mark. Because they're not, none of what they're doing is going to offend people. Because they're just seemingly being them. And I really hope that continues. Because as beloved as Crime Time is beloved for vastly different reasons than people want to love them nowadays. When you look back at Crime Time, you look back going, these guys are ultra talented, but... And I don't want to look back at OTM and think, but. We then get Metaphor coming to the ring. But thankfully their entrance was... But I was say, but first, thankfully their entrance is vastly interrupted by Joe Gacy and Donovan Dijak fighting on top of a big, huge production truck, the back end of a production truck, over a big dumpster. And they fight back and forth, and Dijak eventually kicks Gacy off of it, and he does his best Jeff Hardy impersonation, swanton bombing himself into a pile of garbage with a fantastic sound effect of him slamming into garbage. I love this. I thought it was great. I thought this was great. It's stupid. It's dumb, but it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Mike the Ref saying, OTM feels like crime time without the crime. Feels less gimmicky. It does. They're not trying to be something. They are just who they are. And it feels real. Again, we keep going back to these two words. Real and authentic. And when you bring real and authentic into wrestling, it makes things better. It often makes things better when things are real and authentic. Because they're not trying to remember lines. They're not trying to remember how to be something. Ariana Grace is a character. She's not the beauty queen, pageant queen, but she's good at being the character. OTM feels like them. I feel like if I met, Lucien, Price, and Bronco Nima outside, I feel like they dress the same way. I feel like they talk the same way. I don't feel like they're going to all of a sudden be like, oh, hello, how are you, peon? I don't feel like that's what we're going to get out of the two of them. He also says, Gacy and Dijak are on a dumpster. These segments felt like a dumpster. Oh, Joe Gacy and Dijak was one of the best things on the show. I'm also going to throw this in here now. We get Ava later on arguing with Dijak about how could he do this. And then all of a sudden he's like, I want to know DQ match with them on Sunday. And she's like, I don't even know if he can wrestle, let alone you and him get a no DQ match. And all of a sudden you hear Gacy, bang, bang, bang. I'm in. So the match is made. We're going to skip the Wolf Dogs for now because we want to get back to them to kind of finish on a high. Talk to me about Von Wagner losing 2-0 in 4 rounds in the Heritage Cup, Astrid. Astrid, you're muted again. Stop.
Okay, there we go.
No,
you froze too. I got scared. It was my computer. Okay. No, I was laughing with the kids at the end, though. I had to point this out before I forget about it. That when Von loses, one of the kids is like, he's looking kind of like at the camera guy and he starts putting his thumbs down. So you can tell somebody said something to him. Come on, Mike. No. But no, I liked the match. I think it was fun thinking of, I feel like Vaughn almost had a chance, and I was waiting for that moment of him winning it because I would have been so happy for him. And it's like, first we get no one getting the first. I'm like, okay, fine, no. And then once we get him in the submission and he gets saved by like by the round ending, I was thinking, okay, we still have a chance. There's still a chance happening here. And then when the third one happens and it just over, I was like, no. It's like, again, I'm gonna say it again. I'm tired of Noah and Dar being the Heritage Cup champion. Give it to somebody else. I'm like, it would have been so much nicer to have the kids in the ring with Vaughn celebrating with the Heritage Cup, especially with Noah. I'm just obviously just dismissing him and not thinking he's gonna win it. I feel like that would have been a better like picture at the end, to put it like that. I did like how Vaughn, even at the end with losing, he comes up and I like how you can see Orr in the background setting up for his moment and waiting for his cue as he's clearing out the table. You think he's gonna power bomb Noam Dar, then all of a sudden Orr comes in. And I also like the fact that he picks up Orr, but he kicks Noam Dar from the side and he still power bombs Orr. I was like, the timing of that was really nice. And I love how the crowd just pops, not only for the table to begin with, but for the power bomb too. I feel like it was great. But yeah, I would have preferred Vaughn winning. I feel like it would have been a better ending for me.
You want to know the moment I knew that Von Wagner was losing this match? When his entire entrance was done while we were dealing with the Joe Gacy stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they came back from the Gacy stuff to the ring and Vaughn's in the ring, I'm like, well, they don't think he's important, so neither should I. Nope. I knew at that moment he was losing the match, and I did not think it was going to be 2-0. I loved having the little kids in the suits, though. They were so fantastically adorable in those little itty-bitty suits. Oh, it's great. Mike the Ref jumps in. This is, I think Dar loses that cup to Nathan Dempsey. I think he means Charlie Dempsey when he returns from excursion under the assistance from that English wrestling legend, William Regal. I mean, I could see Charlie Dempsey win the cup. I think it'd be weird to have two heel groups going after the cup at once, but I think Dempsey's built for the Heritage Cup, so I wouldn't be too surprised. Hello, Mr. Parrish. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. But no, yeah, I thought this was a match. I wish they would have given Vaughn a chance in this match. Have it go 6 rounds. Have some when they did everything they needed to give Vaughn a big shot at winning this, and they had him lose 2-0. They had the girls come out and clean out Lash and Jakara.
Oh yeah.
So you had it down to 1-on-1. It's a perfect opportunity to do something for Von Wagner. And then it just falls apart, and it feels weird and it feels bad. They don't have any faith in him. And I can't wait for the next person who actually feels like they have a shot. Because going into tonight, I thought he had a shot. Granted, I did think the match was on Sunday at Vengeance Day and not here, but that's besides the point. Von Wagner saving it at the end. What a hero. Oh, I knew Barry was going to love talking about Von Wagner. But we're done with Barry's favorite things. Done with Von Wagner. On to some of my favorite things. Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. We had Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Baron talking to Braun about the Rumble. He's like, dude, you should have called me if you knew you were going to be there. I would have come down and watched it in person. I wouldn't have had to watch on TV. I wouldn't have had, I would have been able to be there and watch you and see the Wolf Dogs doing their thing. And he's like, what'd you just say? He's like, this thing and that thing. And that. No, before that. No. What'd you call us? What are you talking about? You called us the Wolf Dogs. He's like, no. Stop thinking about the past. Stop thinking about the present, the Wolf Dogs. And he's like, you just said it again. That's twice. And he's like, you know what? Forget about it. The present. We're going to take out Mello. We both owe Mello something, and we need to take Trick down a peg. And I'm like, ooh, interesting. They have a plan, but it's well built. Both Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker want to take apart Carmelo Hayes. That makes sense. In doing so, they also want to take Trick down a peg because both of them want the spot that Trick has right now, the number one contender. So this matchup makes, as silly as it is to have a tag team championship tournament for Dusty Rhodes and talking about tag team wrestling, to have two essential non-tag teams in the finals. I mean, Trick Mello's essentially a tag team, right? They're a group. They've been a group for a while. They've been paired together. They don't often tag wrestle, but they're a group. So they feel a little bit better than Braun and Baron. But again, Braun and Baron are two big-ass singles guys who both understand tag team wrestling. You can say Braun Breaker learned from one of the greatest tag teams of the new generation era in his father and his uncle, the Steiner brothers. He learned tag team wrestling from them, so he understands how to tag team wrestle. Baron Corbin's been in loads of tag teams. Loads of them. He's been part of the Authority. He's been part of his own Baron Corbin gang, where he had various groups of cronies. He tag teamed with Riddick Moss for months, or obviously under Madcap Moss, but all kinds of. He's the last person to pin Roman Reigns in a one-on-one match. People forget that stat. Baron Corbin is the last person to pin Roman Reigns in a one-on-one match. Yeah. He's able to win a tag team tournament with a guy who's not a friend of his. That makes sense because of how good they are. And this final match is going to be fantastic. We then get the rundown for this Sunday on Vengeance Day. And speaking of this Sunday, we've got you covered both before and after the show. We are going to be recording our pre-show, so we're unfortunately not going to be able to take comments live during the recording because we accidentally double booked Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So what we're going to do is we're going to record with the lovely Shay from bodyslam.net. She covers NXT with her tag team partner, I believe it's Kat, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so her and Kat cover NXT for bodyslam.net. So you can go ahead and check them out when they do all of their NXT coverage. But she is going to be our guest for our Vengeance Day pre-show. And this will be airing sometime on Sunday. We'll get a time for you once we know. We'll go ahead and post it on social media. It will be after Point of View, but before the show goes live for NXT Vengeance Day. And then, of course, after NXT goes live, after Vengeance Day ends, come right back here to our local establishment so you can go ahead and see me and the lovely natural Astrid Pizarro as we go ahead and recap NXT's Vengeance Day as quickly as possible so Astrid can get to sleep before she has to work on Monday morning.
Yeah.
But Vengeance Day is going to have Joe Gacy versus Dijak in a no disqualifications match. Lyra versus Roxanne for the NXT Women's Championship. The Family versus OTM in a 6-man tag. Dragon Lee versus Oba Femi for the North American Championship. In the finals of the Dusty Cup, we have the Wolf Dogs of Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker taking on Trick Mello Gang. And of course, Double Duty Trick is going to be opening and closing the show as he goes ahead and in the main event takes on Ilja Dragunov for the NXT Men's Championship. It is going to be a night that hopefully Trick does well. But speaking of meeting your heroes, I got to go ahead and see some of my heroes when I went to NXT Battleground. Astrid did get an opportunity to meet one of her heroes. We're going to go ahead and throw up the picture here. And people, I must warn you, we've talked about how short Astrid Pizarro is on the show before. But I don't think anybody truly understands how tiny this woman is. Because here's a picture with her next to her crush, Julius Creed.
Yay, I met him.
He's leaning down, and you're still only at, like, look, he's literally leaning forward to take this photo so you can be in the same shot as him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How did it feel? How did it feel to meet the love? YouTube.
Yeah.
Mike the ref saying he's going to have to help stretch the show out.
No, Mike. Bad Mike.
What was it like meeting the wonderful Julius Creed? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I was kind of scared. I was thinking he was not going to take the picture because obviously there's a lot of people asking for interviews. I was like, I just want a picture. I'm not going to interview you. That's fine. But no, it was funny.
You should have interviewed him too. You could have had video of you and him.
I don't think we would have fit on the same frame, and I was by myself. You realize that, right?
It's fine. He could have gotten on his hands and knees and done the interview. It would have been fine.
That's a great visual.
Can you imagine the WWE official next to you as you go ahead and say, Julius, can you get on your hands and knees so I can actually talk to you? No, you would have framed the shot beforehand. It would have been fine. But no. We then get to the final segment, which is Trick talking to Ilja Dragunov. It was fine. Trick was a little surly. He's starting to believe the bullshit that Melo's feeding him. Ilya's piling on that Melo's just lying to him and that Melo's not telling him the truth and that Melo's not really a friend. Ilja does his whoop that Trick and he goes for the fist bump and Trick just kind of pushes the fist bump down and goes, no, not tonight. Tonight's about me getting my championship. Tonight's about me being able to take my place in the front and center. And Ilja keeps bringing up Melo, and Trick's like, look, it's not about Melo. And Ilya's like, I know. I need you to know that it's not about Melo. It's about you. It's about me. He says, I've done more for you in your career than Melo has. And Trick's like, no. When I'm not playing these mind games, I'm not buying it. And then they go for the hug at the end. And Trick puts his hands up like between the hug. He's like, nope, we're not doing this because I saw what you did to Corbin. And I'm not pulling that shit. And he pushes him away. Ilja looked hurt. Because he respects Trick. He respects Trick and the abilities, and he respects Trick as a man because Trick could have demanded this title match at any point. As soon as Ilja was healthy, Trick could have demanded this title match and go, you owe this to me. I don't have to wait to Vengeance Day. I can have this whenever I want because you owe it to me because you were the one who had to back out of the match because you weren't cleared. So as soon as he was cleared, Trick could have been like, me and you tonight on NXT. but he's going to pull double duty. And I really hope Trick goes 2 for 2. I really hope Trick goes 2 for 2. I don't think he's gonna, but if I was fantasy booking it, he'd go 2 for 2.
I might cry that night. I don't know if I'll be able to do the show afterwards.
You might cry. These are my boys. I'm gonna have to see Melo turn heel. I haven't seen Melo play heel in almost 7 years since he was here in Chaotic Wrestling. Which, by the way, I'll be back there on Friday night. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I get to see Jake something. I don't know what his last name is, but it's something. They keep putting something on the thing. You figure they know the name of the talent, but something.
Something.
No, just Jake something, not something. Anyways, Ashton, where can the good people find you for the rest of this week?
Well, you mentioned it already, but we're recording it on Friday, but hopefully after Point of View with Bobby, we'll air our preview with Shay, and then after Vengeance Day, we'll do the post show. Everything else you can find on my YouTube channel. Like Ed mentioned, the interviews from the Royal Rumble weekend, I will post them individually as well, but it's just one complete episode, I guess, if you put it like that. I want to thank Doe Cassidy and Body Sam for the opportunity to be there. If not, I would have been part of that this past weekend. Definitely a dream come true for me. Aside from that, you can find me on my Twitter and Blue Sky as Astrid, and then Astrid and Pizarro 20 on Threads and Instagram. You're muted. We did.
Go on her YouTube channel, youtube.com/Astrid Pizarro. To go see the interview, you really should check it out. 500 people have already.
Almost. And you can follow me on my Twitch. I'm almost at my follower goal. I got 95 out of 100.
There you go. Follow her on Twitch. We simulcast this every week on Twitch. And you can also, hopefully, if you start following Astrid on Twitch, she might start doing other content on her Twitch page other than just this show.
Maybe.
But of course, you can find me on the Twitter machine at edfries12584. You can find me where I simulcast all my content on twitch.tv/edfries2002. I've got some content coming up. As we know, we've got, like we said, Sunday is going to be jam-packed of NXT coverage from the Taking Over crew, as we have a pre-show with Shay Sawyer, and we also have our post-show with just me and Astrid. Don't forget, we got Taking Over next Tuesday, and we've got Talking Takeover coming soon. Because Ashton was apparently very busy getting ready for the Royal Rumble and couldn't record. That's a big deal. But no, we'll have Talking Takeover hopefully sometime next week. I'm hoping to have Talking Takeover where we're going to be going ahead and talking about NXT Arrival. So keep your eyes out for that. Also going to be new Marvel talk coming up as we do the MCU rebound of Iron Man 2. We got some confirmation that we can potentially expect X-Men 97 to drop in March. So I'm very excited for that. So that'll be fun to see if that actually happens. And we'll have some episodes recapping the wonderful X-Men 97, which if you haven't seen it, the animated Fox X-Men it's a piece of comic history. It's not good, but the theme song is iconic. And if for the theme song alone, you must take a watch. And of course, you can find all of the wonderful Our Local Establishment content right here on these different platforms. But we are going to go ahead and we are going to raid out to a good friend of mine, JT Dunn. We're going to go out and raid to JT Dunn tonight. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.